Hello and welcome back to the Slipstream Entrepreneurs podcast. My name is Rich Wharton and I'm joined, as per usual, by my wonderful co-host, Hannah Brooks. Hannah, how are you today?
I'm really cheerful and chirpy as always, so cracking
That's
on.
we love to hear. That's what we love to hear. And we've got an extremely special guest on today. I'm absolutely buzzing for this podcast because we've got ex-Premier League footballer and now luxury travel agent James Weir on. James, welcome.
Hi, yeah, lovely to be here. Really looking forward to it, and yeah, talking about my past and then obviously this new business. Yeah, excited.
How exciting! How exciting! So my thing is let's get straight into it straight away. Tell us your, tell us your story, as it were.
How long you got? So obviously being a Premier League footballer, like you say, at Man United. Then went to Hull, had a lot of injuries in my time in my career, ended up in Eastern Europe playing over there. Again, more injuries, ended up having to retire at the age of 28 and have recently, yeah, just opened up my own independent travel agency, which is a franchise of travel counsellors. So that's what I'm, going to be doing in the future. But yeah, I've had a interesting career and one I can look back on like fondly with. Although obviously it does feel a bit like what could have been. But body gets in the way and injuries take the toll. But yeah, I look back with fond memories and buzzing to this new thing I'm into, my new travel company. I'm buzzing to get going with.
That's really exciting, and I'm sure both Hannah and I have got loads of questions about that because we really see the similarities between athletes and entrepreneurs, and obviously you are both, like, which is really really exciting. So it's kind of diving into that. But before we start, like, I know the obvious question would be, what's it like being a Premier League footballer? What's it like playing for Man United? But more importantly, um, what's it like being a high performing person, as in how you conduct yourself, how you train, how you mindset, like, not just the, yeah, it's great, I got to put the Man United kit on every day, and it was, that's
Yeah.
brilliant. It's brilliant being like a professional footballer. But tell us what it's like, essentially behind the scenes, what goes through your mind and how it works.
Yeah. So obviously I was captain in the under 21s, like reserves, whatever they call it these days. But in that time, they pushed you a lot, and it was all about discipline, like pushing your body, hard work. And people talk about motivation, but then I think nowadays it's becoming more, you know, important to be disciplined, having a structure to your week, whether that's in business, in sports, and just being disciplined with that structure. Obviously, in sport, that meant a lot of hard work, gym, training, downtime. Like you have to rest a lot, which is nice. Miss that these days. So that's all important. When I was at United, yeah, I suppose dealing with the other sides of the game, obviously you got a lot of maybe stick from fans, not necessarily me, but our coaches, you are kind of pushed to the limits and you've got to control your body, your mind to that. So that's not always easy, but yeah, I always enjoyed my time there, especially at United. I was always a young sort of lad there, so you're not treated the same maybe as like the experienced pros who get full throttle sort of mental managers going mad at them. But yeah, like you say, the similarities are there between pushing yourself. That discipline, I think, is key. Having a structure to business and like professional sports. Yeah.
It's very cool. I mean, from my perspective, when you talk about this kind of mental discipline, I've worked with athletes in the past who have really struggled to get past that. And I suppose what has carried you through, what's been your kind of non-negotiables when you've obviously succeeding is a big one for a lot of athletes, but what would you say is something that keeps your motivation going, keeps you going every day?
Yeah, I suppose they always say that start with why, don't they? I think it's a book now, but that is important, why. I'm just so competitive, so I always want to be the best, like training every day. I couldn't handle it if I wasn't the best in training, sort of thing. So you'd push yourself and ask why. And I was never the most athletic person, so I was always pushing myself in the gym, and knowing your strengths and weaknesses. But yeah, I think competitiveness comes into it because if you don't have that will to win, then in sports and I think in most businesses, you will struggle. So that's a massive one, which just kind of is ingrained with me from a little boy trying to play with brothers who are 9, 11 years older than me. I'm always just want to be the best sort of thing.
So how are you going to take that forward with your new venture?
Again, that I'm learning to diversify my talents into that structured week, trying to discipline and just, working hard at that. I was on my, induction with 3 other people and it's at first, right, let's be better than them to start and then go from there sort of thing. But yeah, just working really hard, trying to like nail every aspect of the business, showing up. I think that's a key thing. Just doing this, getting up at 6 or 7, working till 6 or 7, 12-hour days. It's certainly at the start, like it's a new business. The first year is going to be difficult. Like I probably won't make loads of, financial gain, but that'll reap rewards in the years to come. So I think that first year, I'm just going to be, hardworking, competitive as always, and see where it takes me.
That's amazing. And what sort of drew you into obviously ending a career in football and then literally going into luxury travel, which is obviously a massive difference as such. What drew you into luxury travel?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I have been injured a few times, so I've been lucky enough to travel to most corners of the globe. Always loved travel, and I just thought it's very interesting sort of business to get into. And I know quite a lot of people, and I thought I could help people with my knowledge, obviously travel counsellors background as well, to have really good experiences. And to be honest, I'm really happy I took this sort of leap of faith because it's I'm really enjoying it at the minute, albeit it's early days, but yeah, it's interesting at the minute. And what helped as well when I went for like the Discovery Day and stuff like that with the travel counsellors, that was a big step for me. I was looking at other things that maybe weren't my cup of tea, and I was just going to go with it. But then as soon as I went there and saw the offices and the setup and the scale of the business, that was just I was in awe of sort of what could happen, and that was the kind of game changer for me. And I just thought, this is definitely for me.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of overlap there between what your why was as a footballer and your why for like, I want to be the best version of this, which I think is a huge thing. And like when we speak to racing drivers, they all want to be the quickest, they all want to be the fastest, they all want to earn like the most money. An interesting point for you. So obviously with footballers, you don't really have to worry about sponsorship deals. Racing drivers do. Obviously, it's a really hard sport to fund and to kind of get themselves up like through the ranks. So what would you say to a potential driver who was struggling with that kind of sponsorship aspect? How would you tell them to kind of think about marketing themselves from your perspective?
Yeah, I think a big one on that will be networking. It's not, it's that old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. But yeah, you've got to be a bit different, haven't you? You've got to have a bit of personality to you and show that in your marketing. A lot of people think, oh, be professional and essentially boring, but us footballers are like that. In an post-match interview, you can't really say a lot. But people don't want to hear that. People want to hear, like the James Maddison types who are actually interested in, bring a smile to your face, someone a bit different. So just be yourself, be personable. Don't get disheartened if nothing comes back. But you have got to keep that structure. If you keep doing it day in, day out, you will reap rewards eventually. It might take its time, but yeah, just keep that sort of ever-going presence on whatever platform you're using, and I think networking would help in that thing, just reaching out to people, because you'll be amazed how much people do want to actually help you. I was surprised at that. When I moved into this business, people want to see you succeed and they want you to do well, and normally you think it's the other way, they might not want you to do well, but that's not true. So yeah, I'd go with them a couple of points really.
That's great. I mean, that's great advice. I think that's stuff that we quite believe in as well. So when we talk to racing drivers, we want them to talk about themselves and like what other things they do around driving that really kind of like sparks them and kind of keeps them motivated and brings that resilience as well. So yeah, great points.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing is we talk about like we want to hear the story behind the story for racing drivers. That's what we say to them, and essentially, like you said, it's your personal brand. It's who you are, not who you're trying to fit into as such. You know, you don't want to be that, and you see it a lot in corporate life where you have to be a certain individual. And I know, again, especially in professional sport and someone as big as like Man United, for example, you're expected to be a certain type of person. And if you don't fit into that mold, it's like, sorry, you're gone. You know, you look at the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo, for example, and it was then his personal brand was then potentially getting too big for Man United. Don't get me wrong, I was gutted when he left both times, but it's that thing of like actually, you know, outside of that corporate world, you kind of need to be you. You know, you're the selling point. You know, it's like, you know, and again, I think this is a great point is the fact that you're in a franchise business. The franchise model is exactly the same for every single person who joins that franchise. The only difference is the person now running that, which is obviously you. So that's the difference between success and failure, and who does extremely well and who doesn't do well is you.
Yeah. No, yeah, 100% completely agree. And it's having your own plan, your own identity, you know, is so important, you know, to be successful. You're not gonna, another person's version of the sort of why, the techniques, the plan isn't going to suit you. You've got to be yourself, like you say. So yeah, I think individuality is massive, and like you say, just being genuine. You know, I'm quite a genuine person. I like to think so anyway. People can tell when you're trying to put on something, you know, put on a front, fake it or whatever. That fake it till you make it, I've never been a big fan of, because people see right through it.
Yeah.
Out of interest, you know, with your career today, both obviously football and entrepreneur life, you know, who's been that biggest influence on you as an individual and helped you grow in the most?
That's a good question. In terms of personal life, probably my eldest brother has been, you know, quite instrumental in that because he's been so successful in his own, you know, business. However, in football, I'd probably say it's difficult, isn't it? I'd probably say maybe Michael Carrick when I was back at United. He was kind of similar position, helped me with my game. Very nice person. So yeah, football, I'd say him. But then overall, probably yeah, my two brothers have been big for me, watching them grow, and then you know they help me with stuff. And they, you know, they know who I am. But yeah, in football, I'd probably say Carrick. But it's a difficult one. So many people touch your lives in little ways, which maybe help you, you know, go further. But in football, you move in clubs, you know, every other year sometimes. So you're meeting loads of different people, and even if they just have a little impact on you, you got to take it. Something I was going to mention before, actually, being a sponge at the start of something, you know, taking in all that knowledge is key, I think, to anything. You know, continuous learning is something I'm very passionate about, and I think, you know, that's a good thing for people either starting business or in sports. You know, certainly at the early stages.
That's literally what we talk about all the time, this continuous learning. I honestly, James, I feel like you're very on the same wavelength as us because I think we constantly talk about ways we can grow and develop and ways we can push ourselves, whether it's, oh, I've read a really good book, I think you'd really like find it really interesting. I mean, I've got a pile of like sales books on my desk because I know it's something I want to kind of work on and develop, but it's just really interesting. So what are your kind of ways you want to develop then going forward?
Yeah, I probably agree. Sales. I'm not a salesperson, but eventually, at the end of the day, travel is sales. But like Rich said, I'm selling myself, so just being me is going to be the best version of that. Getting more used to kind of sitting at a desk, you know, simple stuff like that. I'm not used to it. I still like to keep active, you know, even if it's walking the dogs or whatever, just getting out, having a better routine, I guess. I have just been away, but I feel like I'm a bit all over the place at the minute. I need to get decent sort of calendar, planner, schedule. You might be able to help me with some of these if you got any good planners. Just stuff like that. I've obviously been a footballer, all my life. And I was going to mention before, actually, we talked about, why football, why travel, and it's because I'm passionate about both of them. I didn't want to go into something that I wasn't passionate about and I didn't enjoy. That's a bit coming from, because I have got, savings, investments and properties behind me. So I am looking a bit lucky in that front, but I was never going to do something that I was waking up on a Monday morning thinking, oh, I'm dreading that. And that's just me, really. I know some people might just think it's a job, but I get quite obsessed with things and I throw my whole, soul into it. Football, property, obviously now this travel thing. So yeah, I kind of go to the nth degree to make sure I'm successful at it.
I think sometimes with entrepreneurs, you get so excited about starting new projects. Like, I feel like I've started so many projects and I've got so many things going on, and Richard will be exactly the same. Doesn't mean I'm not passionate about all of them, but I've just got loads of different things going on, and it's just really exciting because you'll know this. It's just like you just want to be the best at it. You want to have a go and you want to learn as much as possible from that process. And I think entrepreneur life it's a real acquired thing. Not everyone can do it. But I do have a planner that I've designed, so I will send that to you. You can have that to help you just try and maybe work with 9-to-5 desk life for now. So
get used to it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
that's a really interesting point actually you made there, Hannah. Is I think entrepreneur life, I know I've had this struggle with people around me. Is people don't get you. People don't understand what you're going through, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve. You've obviously got big goals in what you want to achieve in life, and I've got the same. Hannah's got the same. It's one of those things where and you do take on different projects because you love them. And people, I know family around me go, you just do far too much, can't keep up. And it's like, it's a good job I can. You don't need to, but I've got this. Let me do me, and you do you. But it sounds like you came from quite an entrepreneurial family.
Maybe not. So have I painted it that way? I wouldn't say so. I am the only one who's done that. What I meant by my brothers, they've just been successful in their own endeavours, sort of thing. Mum was always very hardworking as well. Dad was in his sports, maybe not in his job. But I guess I was the first one in my family. I guess I learned from when I started doing my property business. I learned from other, property entrepreneurs, and that kind of sparked that sort of entrepreneurial, activity in me. My best man at my wedding, he's a massive sort of pioneer. His dad's quite a big entrepreneur, so always being around them, talking about new ideas, stuff like that. But I'm kind of one of them person is, a lot of people talk about it and then never follow through, whereas I'm like, no, let's give it a go, sort of thing. So I kind of just, if I see something and I'm like, yeah, I'm involved in it. And like you're saying, like, people don't get maybe entrepreneurs. Like the other night, jet lag, I'm like, well, I can't sleep, so I might as well go and do some work at 2 a.m. But a lot of people wouldn't get that. But if you can't sleep, you might as well do it. And if you're going to make your business better and be more successful, why not? Nothing else to do.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? It's literally capitalising on those times. The amount of times I've had to wake up and I've thought, I can't get back to sleep. I'm just going to go downstairs and do some work because I just think, get ahead of the game today. And then, it's...
Yeah, I mean, that's not a recipe for doing it all the time, is it? But I think, I completely get where you're coming from.
That's one of those where you kind of, Hannah and I have spoken about this before, you have a notepad by the side of the bed for notes, or, I have this thing where I go onto LinkedIn and we'll just start connecting with people, and I'll just get curious about people. I think that's one of the things I know you mentioned this earlier, is that, you're being yourself, but you're also curious about other people's lives. Like, you generally build a relationship for the sake of building a relationship rather than building a relationship to get business out of him. And I know networking is, again, it's quite forced for a lot of racing drivers we speak to, i.e. they're networking simply to get money out of people's pockets rather than networking to build relationships. But how important has it been for you to build solid relationships with people around you for the sake of relationships?
Yeah, 100%. And I do hate the term. I'm new to it, but I hate the term networking. I'd rather just be like, meeting new people. It's a great way of putting it. And certainly for the travel thing, if I'm gonna network and all I'm thinking about is, oh, are they gonna book a nice fancy holiday? Then it's not gonna go very far. You gotta, get to know them. And then if they want to book, great. If they don't, great, you've met a new person, sort of thing. And in football, you meet people, all the time, sort of, if they're changing clubs, new staff. So I'm quite used to, getting to know new people. I like to learn about, where they're from. Certainly the higher end of football, there's a lot of foreign players, but I love that because you talk about different cultures, different areas of the world. And I've always been, as I said, into travel. So I think it's very important to forget about, that business side of it. I know that must be difficult for racing drivers, but if you're just going out to, like you say, get to know people and stuff, it will help you in the long run. It might be 1 in 50 who are just, oh, by the way, I've got a friend who can sponsor you, etc., etc. It will reap its rewards, but as I say, you got to be disciplined and you got to keep turning up every day.
I mean, that's great advice, I think, for anyone listening. So. Little nuggets you're giving us today, James. Little nuggets. Nuggets of gold.
All right. I don't intend to.
No, it's great. Honestly, it's great. I think it's so nice. Obviously, we interview drivers. We interview a lot of motorsport entrepreneurs. It's really nice to have someone from a different background of sport, but also who completely understands those overlapping and overarching kind of pressures that I think all athletes face and all business people face. And I think, it's also so relevant.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, football is cutthroat, so you've got to have that, on the line. And as you guys know, having your own business is, if you don't perform, then you're not gonna succeed. You're not gonna put bread on the table or food on the table. Sorry. So yeah, like you said, the two are definitely linked.
Sure, it's interesting. Someone said to me a couple of days ago, Hannah, you're really resilient. And I thought to myself, why? And actually, when I look back, there's been loads of times where people have either told me I'm not going to be successful or I'm not going to manage to succeed with something and I'm not going to do this and I'm not going to do that. And I've just kind of thought, well, now I just want to do it even more. So I've had to nurture this resilience, but it just makes me better the next time I have a go at something, right? So
yeah.
It's an interesting word, and I think what you've been describing is that resilience. It's that kind of, like you're networking. You're not going to be successful getting sponsorship all the time, but just you're meeting people, you're creating contacts, and have that resilience in yourself to just go out there and have the confidence to be you, because it's so important in sport. So important.
Yeah. I mean, in sport, I can talk about my injuries. I had 3 long-term injuries, and that was the biggest resilience I showed to come back from them. Certainly the latest one. And at the end of the day, we're talking about networking and marketing. Like, people are that busy in their lives. If you think it's going to come off on the first go, then it's silly. Like, because at the end of the day, no one really cares about your endeavors until you show them a bit of personality, a bit of meaning, something that's going to interest them. So you've got to give it time. It's a process. So yeah, that resilience is key, to not get downbeat if you're not having rewards. Just keep going. But yeah, as I said, in sports, you can't be successful without it, really.
I think I heard it from, I've had a background in network marketing, and I heard one of the mentors there who turned around and said that people don't care until they realize how much you care. And it's kind of like, you've got to care about them, what they want, what they do, etc. And then they'll start caring about you and potentially what someone's not going to care about you if you don't have any interest in them. Start having conversations with people. you know, everyone's favorite topic is talking about themselves. So if
Mm.
you're wanting to get to know someone, ask them about themselves and like, you know, just let them talk. And you're kind of like, well, actually, they're already starting to like you because they're talking about their favorite topic.
Yeah. And you can just switch off and take a bit take a bit of rest, can't you? Well, not
Well,
switch off,
I was
listen.
going to say, when you say switch
Yeah,
off,
yeah.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
just go,
No, I meant
right,
listen.
let's get what you've
Yeah.
done. Like,
You know what I mean? Because some people love to talk, don't they? I think that's what I've noticed in the travel industry. People love their own voice, and sometimes it's just, yeah, let them do the thing and take in what they're saying is a better word.
mm, yeah, engage with what they're saying, and then obviously,
Yeah.
you know, understand it, you know, active listening, I think they call it, but it's then just
Yeah,
picking
so
out the little points and again, remembering those, you know, the amount of times I've had conversations with people, like a great call or, you know, face to face or whatever. And a week later, I'm just like, oh, what was that? Like, you know, I needed
yeah,
to remember that. And it, like, sometimes it comes back. And I mean, I've had a conversation, I met up with a guy in London. He was a property developer, started his own sports marketing business, really great guy. Met up with him, and then he messaged me on LinkedIn probably about 2 weeks later. I was like, "Oh, it's lovely to meet you." Blah blah blah. Like, I completely forgot that we actually met up for a drink, you know. And you're just like, "Oh no!" Like, and yeah, obviously after that, I was kind of like, yeah, it made me remember to never forget. Like, but that's the thing is kind of like maybe take some notes or you know just try and I've got a big thing now of trying to learn people's names because
oh
I'm good at
yeah,
recognizing faces, but names I really struggle with. But then it's then
yeah.
oh, I need to match the two together.
Yeah, I'm so bad with the name. Like, if someone told me the name, even before I'm like looking right rich, like,
Yeah.
someone tells me the name, I'm that concentrated on the handshake or like the hug. I'm like,
Mm.
I've just completely
Yeah.
blacked out to what they're saying. Whereas, like, if someone's telling me what they want from a holiday, I get quite good because you know, I have to listen, or you know, it's kind of what I'm also interested and passionate about. So that's a bit easier, but. Yeah, 100% agree. The names is yeah, that's a one for all of us, I think.
Mm, I'd agree. I'm quite keen to hear about your injuries, and you can be as
Yeah,
gruesome as you wish if you really want to. But I'm genuinely just really interested to hear from your perspective how that was.
yeah. So I think I've had about 11 operations in my time over my career. And obviously, I'm only 28, so that's quite a bit. A lot of them on the knees. So big one was at Hull. That was my meniscus in my knee, which people think, oh, it shouldn't be that bad, but it was that bad of a tear they had to repair it because if they had like took it out, which they normally do with cartilage, then I would have had like arthritis within 2 years. So yeah, did that. It was about 5 month rehab. 2 days away from training, did it again. 6 months rehab, and then it was going okay, but it was getting a bit stiff. So we injected it to try and help it out, and that injection got infected, which is about 10,000 to one chance of doing so. So I was so unlucky with that, and that was again need another operation for that, flush it out. That was another 3 4 months. So by the time it was almost 15 months, and it was coming towards March, season ends in May. So obviously I was never going to play after being out for so long. So that was just like catastrophe after catastrophe sort of thing. Really difficult time. And then yeah, the other big one was when I was in Budapest. Got again cartilage. It's from my dad's side of the family. I think it's made of like glass or something. So weak. My ankle. Yeah, did that in a game. Had operation over in Budapest, but it wasn't up to the standards as what you might get in England, and that's like I kind of trusted them too much when I should have just come back to England and did it. But again, after about 5 6 months, it just wasn't right. I hadn't got back to playing yet because it was a 9 month rehab. Came back, had it done in London, you know, all singing, all dancing. The PFA paid for that, which I was, you know, so grateful for because it was very expensive. Again, that was another 12 month rehab, so I was about 18 months out with that or something. So, and that was hard because I left the club in Budapest because foreign players couldn't play in the second division, and we got relegated as I was injured. So, you know, I couldn't really help the team on that either. Um, so I was doing all the rehab on my own, you know, in just at home, obviously going to the gym, had like my own physio, had to set my schedule. That was a really hard time because also had family stuff going on. I was just started a university master's degree. Was doing a bit of coaching to fund the rehab, and then obviously had the rehab itself. So I was juggling a lot of plates. So I look back on that time now, and I'm more proud of that than, let's say, some of my, maybe playing in the Premier League, because I became, sounds cringy, but I almost became a bit of a man in that time, because I took a lot of responsibility on, and just, you talk about resilience, that was the biggest time for me, like waking up every day and just grafting, getting to it. And that's why I won't coach anymore, because I didn't enjoy it during that time, to be honest with you. But yeah, they're some of my injury stories, and then hopefully I won't have many more in the future.
That's
Fingers
really
crossed.
fascinating. I think one thing is, I mean, I've heard people say it before, and it's a prime opportunity for me to ask this question. But obviously, a lot of footballers get paid very well, and that there's no beating around the bush with that. It is good money for what you do, and a lot of people have that attitude of, well, if you're injured, you're getting paid to sit on the sidelines, but don't appreciate actually what you as a player, you became a player to be a player, not for the money. You want to play. And I mean, I heard Gary Neville talking about this a little bit as well, actually, in one of his, I don't know what it was, one of his podcasts or on Sky Sports or wherever. But it's one of those things where every player really wants to play, wants to be the best that they can be. It's not just about the money. Like that mental side for you, and obviously sitting on the sidelines for such long periods of time, how did you cope with that?
Yeah, like just to touch on what you're saying first, I have a great example. When I was at Hull, was earning the most money in my career, but I was injured pretty much for the whole part of it, and I've never been so mentally challenged. I was not depressed, but I was really struggling with it all. Then when I went to Slovakia first time round, I was earning absolutely nothing. It was after COVID, and I was absolutely loving it because I was playing every week. They loved me, and I was involved in football. But yeah, the mental side, I suppose it's just you got to set yourself little goals. So in injuries, okay, in 4 weeks I can walk, in 8 weeks I can jog, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just hitting them milestones, and then eventually 6 months turns into sort of 6 targets that you just keep working towards. But yeah, that was kind of a good, like you as you were saying it, I was literally thinking about my career and these times where, okay, you might have been earning more money, but trust me, like you say, you work all your life to play football. You don't work all your life to, be doing rehab in the gym.
I want to touch on what you just said there, because you like you said, you set yourself little targets, and as soon as you said that, I was like, "Bing! That's a gem. That's an absolute gem." Because again, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're a racing driver or anywhere in life, you've got to set yourself those little targets to. And I mean, I strongly believe in the compound effect. I do a lot of studying on the compound effect and how that works. And it's like doing the little actions to hit those little targets that you aim, but that leads to the bigger picture. If you want to create a multi-million pound business, you don't automatically think about creating your first multi-million pounds. You think about, right, how can I get my first £10,000? How can I then get, first 100K, and then build it up from there. You've got to set yourself little targets and do the daily actions that's going to hit those, and that will lead to the bigger success.
Yeah, 100%. Sorry, you're kind of cutting out a bit then, but yeah, the certainly in my rehab that was a massive thing. But I also look back into my property at that. I didn't start out. Now I've got 5 properties. Did a housing redevelopment, which was massive challenges. But I didn't start that out from nothing. It took little building blocks, and that was the first case of me in business thinking about targets. Okay, in 3 years I want to be here. In 5 years I want to be here. And I think you've also got to be a bit flexible. Sometimes life gets in the way. Things do get don't go how you want them to be. Certainly in property, there's a lot of unknowns. But as long as you can look back and you've either got close to your target, if it was a really high achieving target, then, you know, and you can look back with how you conduct yourself fondly, then yeah, I think as long as you can look in that mirror and be like, yeah, I've done everything I can to reach that target and I'm pretty happy with the outcome, then, you know, it doesn't matter if you didn't get there. Obviously, you might be disappointed, but having that is going to help you to push yourself. And, you know, like you say, in 5 years, you might not be where you want to be, but in 10, you might be, you know, 2 times more than where you thought you were going to be at.
Nuggets again. Just nuggets everywhere.
Honestly. This has been so valuable, and like, you know, the biggest thing is, I mean, the last podcast we recorded, it's not out yet, but was a guy who's been involved in F1 for 19 years, incredible background, you know, loads of great nuggets. But I think the other thing side of it is like that thing of learning from people. I mean, James, you're 28 years old and you're coming out with some absolute gems that people can, you know, I'm going to take that on, like, and I just think you can learn from anyone, anywhere, with their experiences, with their life. You know, like you said, you became a man during your injuries. You know, you really grew up, and it really shows how mature you are now, like at the age of 28, and being like, wow, you've got such a bright future ahead of you as well, which is really, really exciting.
Hopefully. Yeah, I think, like you say, it's that humility, you know, being humble, appreciating. You're not going to, in the travel thing, like they say to us, you're not going to know the world. No one can. You know, you're going to try, if someone asks you for somewhere in Argentina you've never heard of, just say, look, okay, I'll have a look into it. So it's just being humble, you know, like you say, learning from other people, because you're never going to know everything. I think my wife said it the other day. If you try and teach a fish how to climb a tree, it's going to struggle. Have you heard that saying? Or
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd never heard it. I was like, that's pretty cool. She doesn't normally give me good stuff like that, but I was like, oh yeah, that's quite good to
Oh dear. Right. Well, I feel like we could probably talk to you for hours, and I know Rich would literally take you down the pub for hours probably, but we'll start to wrap this up. So what we do every week or every time we speak to someone is we ask them one question. Now, I've not told you it on purpose because I want you to answer honestly. So if you could spend an hour with someone dead or alive, anyone, who would it be and why?
That is a good question. I mean, instantly my instinct goes to Tiger Woods. I'm a big golf fan, and obviously I know he's had some ups and downs, but you talk about stories, I think he's got a hell of a story. And even all the stuff he did with his dad as a kid, you know, he was meant to be the mentality monster sort of thing. So I'd love to kind of just hear a bit about that and, yeah, talk about some of his life story, shall we say.
Yeah, that would be an entertaining one. That is for sure. You know.
Yeah.
I think you might need longer than an hour, I think, actually.
Yeah, they never say meet your heroes, do they? So maybe I should have picked someone else. But he was my gut one.
Oh, incredible. Well, I think we need to line up a round of golf, James, because I'd love to carry on chatting with you. But thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to chat to us. I know you're heavily jet lagged after spending time in the States, and you know you've got a business that you really want to take off now. So thank you for spending the time. Thank you talking about your career and what you've done so far and the future. In regards to obviously helping yourself, where can people find you to reach out and talk travel?
Yeah,
or property?
Yeah. So the best place to find me is on pretty much any social media platform, and it's James Weir Travel. So Weir is how you spell my second name. Or you can go into the Travel Counsellor's website and again search my name. I'm based in Preston, but that doesn't matter. You know, we work remotely. But yeah, love to help anyone out. You know, you're not going to get any nonsense from me if I don't think what you're after is achievable. I will tell you, but I will work so hard, do so much research to get you, you know, the best trip you're after, and stuff that you can't really see on, you know, on Love Holidays and stuff like that. It's more personal, bit more of a personal approach. But yeah, and even if you just want a bit of helps or tips, I'm not just about booking stuff. I will help people out because that's just what I like to do.
Amazing. Well, we'll put your links in the description as well, so people can have access to that. But James, thank you so much, from both Hannah and myself. It's really grateful for having you on. So thank you for your time, and yeah, look after yourself.
Sounds good. No, thanks, Rich. Thanks, Hannah. Enjoy it.